Hey everyone, welcome to this live broadcast in which I will analyze Oprah's acceptance speech at last Sunday's Golden Globe events. Let's face it, that was awesome. That was super powerful, and she really made sure that it hit home with everyone. You could really feel it in the audience, feel it at home. To be honest, I shed a tear or two. I can't deny that. And I'm sure that I was not the only one there. And I just want to analyze for a few minutes all the different techniques that she uses and why it is so powerful what she does and what we can learn from it as storytellers ourselves and how we can use it in our own speeches as well. So I've put some notes here and there, and I want to share some of the video with you. Look at some snippets here and there, and I'll tell you what she does there and why it works so well. So let me know in the comments if you're watching. Also, if you look at it in the replay, just let me know and tell me what you think and what you think that we can learn from what she does. So first of all, I think we can all just agree that was insanely good. Like Oprah, she's good. We know that she's powerful and she really has her way of reaching into our souls. We know that. But this was spectacular. This was really phenomenal. So please let me know if you agree, or maybe even if you disagree. I'd love to hear what you think about it, if that is the case. So yeah, she's just a powerful speaker, but what she does here works super well. So she comes on stage and then she takes her Golden Globe from Reese Witherspoon, and then she immediately starts off by telling a story, telling an anecdote from her own life, her own experience. So this is the first thing she does, and that is incredibly powerful. So she talks about these details that really make us be there with her. So let's take a look at how she does that. I want to share my screen with you. Let me see if I can make that work. Second 51. So 0 minutes 51. And this is where she explains her own story, her own anecdote, if you will. And here she gives these beautiful, beautiful little details that really make sure that we're there with her. So she talks about the linoleum floor where she sat on, and she really emphasizes this word as well. And then a little bit later at 121, she talks about this charming, charismatic black man walking onto stage in a white tie and obviously with a black skin. And the way she really does that, that really makes us be there with her. So it's all in the detail, and that is one of the most important things about storytelling. If you want your audience to be there with you somewhere, it's all in the detail. The tiniest little things that will make us picture what you see. And then I want to focus on one of the words that she uses. So she makes sure that she has some very powerful words in her story here and there. And it's not an overkill. She doesn't do it too much, but she just puts it there and then emphasizes it. And that really makes it, hit home with you. And one of those words is being celebrated like that. When she talks about Sidney Poitier and how he was celebrated like that when he was the first black man to win a Golden Globe, and how that felt for her. And being celebrated like that, it's so powerful because it's not being accepted like that or being put in the spotlight like that. No, it's being celebrated. That's a very, very, very powerful word, if you ask me. And then just a few seconds after that, she talks about her experience as a little girl watching that. And she says, I have tried to explain what that means. And what she implies with, I have tried to explain what that means. So she implies that she has not fully succeeded with that yet. So the battle is not won. we still have to fight for it. We still have to go on to make sure that everyone understands how important role models are, and to have a good representation of all kinds of different people as role models in the media and being celebrated like that. So the phrase, I have tried to explain what that means, that makes like a fire, that burns a fire inside of us and makes us really want to fight that battle with her. It's extremely powerful emotion. And then if we go to minute 2, she does a very typical Oprah move there. What Oprah does a lot is, when something is very important and when she feels, I think part of it is improv as well. So if she feels that she's really connecting with her audience, if her audience is really there feeling that particular sentence, she repeats it. And she doesn't just do that once or twice. No, sometimes she does it 6 times. We all know that you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And she keeps on going because, excuse me, it's really hitting home with the audience. So it's the power of repetition. It's not just putting the emphasis in your voice, but I'm saying this again, and I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm saying this again. It's super, super powerful what she does. Then 12 seconds later, at 2 minute 12, she refers back to her first sentence. So in her first sentence, she talks about how she's a little girl sitting on that linoleum floor. And here she refers back to that. And referring back to something that you've said before in your own presentation, that is a very strong bonding tool. It is, you kind of share a memory with your audience. So first, you bring them there with you with the detail that she put in her anecdote. So she put in the detail so that you're there with her. So she shares her memory, and now you're part of that memory. And then 2 minutes later, she grasps back to that moment. So you have this shared memory that you now reminisce about. So that is basically what she does, and that is an extremely powerful bonding tool. So that really makes us feel like one and feel like we're there with her, and like we're a team, because we have this shared history and shared memory. So it's also, in presentations, you also see that it's very often used as a comedic tool. So to make a joke about something that you said before, or something that we've all noticed before, we all witnessed before, or something that we share. Maybe it's about this really annoying buzzing in the room that keeps going on, and making them joke about that. That's a bonding tool. Or maybe there was something that a previous speaker said, so maybe you're the second or third speaker, and the person before you mentioned something, and then you refer back to that, and that is a bonding tool. It's creating a memory and then reminisce about that. So that she does at 2 minutes 12, and then at 3 minute 8, she uses another bonding technique, because here she obviously talks about Donald Trump. We all know that she's talking about Donald Trump and about the media, and how the media has been under fire during his presidency. But she doesn't name him. She doesn't actually say his name. So it's sort of kind of a secrecy thing that she does there, almost like conspiracy, because we all know what's going on, but we're not actually saying it. We're not actually mentioning it. Woo, there's some really hard, there's some bad weather out there. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's some really big thunder. But going back to Oprah, so she talks about Trump, but she doesn't name him. So that is very effective. And also, of course, there's the common enemy thing. So we're all fighting for one thing here. So equality and power for minorities and women, because that obviously is what most of her talk is about, and having these powerful role models. And there is this one person out there who we're not actually naming, but he is there. And we all know that he is against us, and we're against him, and that's a common enemy. So we have to fight for that together. Very powerful bonding there. And then at 5 minute 19, there's her second anecdote. So she has 2 anecdotes in a speech of about 8 minutes. It's a pretty big anecdote dense speech, and that's why it works so well. So really, I can't stress this enough. Use anecdotes, use your own personal stories, your own personal memories. But even because this is not her own story, this is a story that she knows of a woman that she knows, or she's read about. Whatever really supports your message. So it doesn't have to be your own personal anecdote, but it has to support your message. That's super important. So it's 2 anecdotes in about 8 minutes, in about an 8-minute speech. And then most speakers don't ever use anecdotes at all. So what can we learn from that? So these 2 examples really make it all hit home. It makes sort of an abstract concept, an abstract speech. It makes it concrete so we can really see why it's so important to fight for this together. So that's at 5:19, and at 6:23, through the anecdote, she doesn't only, before the anecdote, of course, we just talked about Donald Trump, and there she created a common enemy. But through the anecdote here, what she does is create a common hero. So we all see now that this woman who died 10 days ago, she is a common hero for us. What she fought for, but she could not realize in her life, in her 19-year-long life, she didn't manage to realize. Now we have to make sure that we do realize that together. So that is a common hero, maybe just as powerful, or even more powerful than a common enemy. At 6:41, she repeats again, and not just once. She repeats at least 3 times, and it's a very typical Oprah move. You see it a lot in what she does when she feels that something is hitting the audience. Is hitting home with the audience. She will repeat it numerous times, sometimes until it gets a little bit uncomfortable. But it works for her. It just works. And then the last thing that I want to point out is, almost at the end of the speech, at 8:28, at 8 minutes 28 seconds. This is where she really shows what intonation, pause, and emphasis will do. We are super invested at this point in her speech. We're totally there with her. We believe every word she says. So if she says that things are going to change, we believe her. And see the reaction in the audience. It's a reaction of relief. Okay, Oprah says it's going to change, that the new day is on the horizon. So that must be true. If she says it after this speech, then it must be true. So these are my points that I just wanted to point out in Oprah's speech that really made it a super powerful speech that she did that I'm sure will be going viral for many years to come. So just a short recap. First of all, the anecdote is the detail in what she says, the detail to really bring you there with her, really take you into the story with her, so you can picture it in your mind's eye. And then the repetition that she brings back a number of times in the speech, repeating what's working. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, right? Then the bonding tools, first of all, of referring back to a common memory, something that we share now. And then the bonding tool of creating a common enemy and having sort of that secret in the room with us. We all know what's going on, but we're not actually naming it. And then, of course, in the second anecdote, it's the common hero, also powerful bonding tool. So I can't stress this enough. It's so important to connect with your audience, and these are very strong tools to help you do that. Connect with your audience. And then, and the last bit, the intonation, the pause, the emphasis that she uses. It's really, really wonderful. But overall, of course, what you feel from the moment she walks on stage is that what she's going to talk about, is incredibly important to her. This is where her passion lies. This is what she's willing to fight for, what she's waking up for every morning. So try and make sure that whenever you have a presentation or have to give a talk, that it is that important to you. That whatever you're talking about is that important to you. All right, guys. That's all I have on Oprah's acceptance speech. Let me know what you thought of it, and please comment and let me know if you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear all of that. All right, then I'll see you later.